I'm back from Greece and the Giants are back in the building. Welcome to the Empire State Sports Report. I'm your host, Adrianna, also known as New York Giants fangirl on social media. And I'm back from my vacation. It was fantastic. We went to Santorini, Milos, and Athens. If anyone is going to Greece this summer and needs recommendations, please let me know. I'm happy to share. Did not have a bad meal. Food was great. Wine was great. Weather was great. Architecture, beaches, views, everything. 10 out of 10 would recommend. It actually was my second time in Greece, but the last time I was there was when I studied abroad, like over 10 years ago. So just absolutely, oh God, I just love Europe. I love it so much. I was not ready to come home, but alas, I'm home. Marcy's fine. She was great while we were gone. And, the Giants are back in the building. So it's time to talk about some Giant stuff. So let's start with this. They are in their OTAs series of workouts now. So these are the dates. Let's talk about that. And what I do know is that there is at least one media session. So we will have some updates from media people during this week of OTAs. So I will do a recap of that at some point. And the next couple weeks through basically June until training camp starts, I'm going to try and get on as many guests as I can because I know people are in summer mode and they probably don't care about the Giants. So I will do whatever I can to make this entertaining and fun for you guys. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. I know some people have been asking about Bobby Skinner, so I will reach out to him and get him on. He was on Giants Collective with us and we had a great time. So I'm going to work on him and a couple other people. So if you have other people that you would like to see, let me know. All right, let's get into OTAs. So they start today. So it's May 27th, 28th, 30th, June 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 9th, 10th, 12th, and 13th. And then there's a little bit of a break and the veterans have their mini camp June 17th to 19th. Now the rookies already had their mini camp May 9th and 10th. So this will be just for the veterans. And then the OTAs are basically just getting players back in the building, starting to get them working out again, having meetings, going over playbooks, probably any rule changes, scheme changes, things like that, getting the young guys, the rookies adapted to what life in the NFL is like. So that's where we're at right now. And again, because OTAs are not really open to the public and they're not really open to the media, there's not really going to be a ton of information, I think, that comes out of them. From my perspective, I think what I want to hear or see about in OTAs, one of the questions that I will have is, what is going to be the rep split between Tommy DeVito and Jackson Dart? Now, my expectation is that Jackson Dart will be getting all of them outside of obviously Russell and Jameis, and that Tommy DeVito is going to be the number 4, kind of hanging in the back, doing whatever. Other things that I want to find out about are, which UDFAs look good. So Juice Wells looked good during the rookie mini camp. How do him and Jackson Dart look? Are they getting a lot of reps together? Is someone like Bo Collins, who is a UDFA wide receiver, how is he looking during the camp? Reese McIntyre, is he going to end up making the roster, being a good backup center for JMS? Is there going to be any competition for JMS? What is the offensive line looking at? Is Evan Neal getting reps at right guard or left guard? I think it's going to be right guard. Is he going to be battling it out with GVR? These are the things that I think we'll start to talk about now during OTAs, but will be obviously a lot more prevalent during training camp when I'm there in person and can see with my own 2 eyes. So they do get a break from, I think it's June 19th was the last day of camp, and then training camp starts about a month later. So I actually went back and looked at the training camp dates from last year because I have a wedding in July in Maine, and I'm like, it better not be during camp. And it's not. So that's great news. So last year, the first day of training camp was July 24th. So I think this year will probably be about the same. It runs for 2 weeks, not the full 14 days, but they have practices during the week and the weekends. The tickets are free, but you must have a ticket if you want to go. It's a great experience. I go every year. I love it so much. It's hot as hell, but it's fun. And then preseason starts. It's so insane, guys. We are less than 100 days until the NFL season is here. And where I'm at is this. I'm in the season of excitement, right? Because the free agency went well, the draft went well. We've got veteran quarterbacks who's one of them has won a Super Bowl and has a hell of a lot of experience and, loves Brian Daboll and Jameis Winston. Like, our quarterback room is great. It's not perfect. It's not amazing, but it's great. It's better than it's been in a long time. And, I think there are things to be excited about. Obviously, the schedule is brutal, but I think that we will see improvement from this team this year. That's what I'm really hoping for. And I think, we're just bound to see a better offense and a better team as a whole, I think. Like I said, even though the schedule is bad, I don't think they're going to go 0-6 in the division again. I think they're going to be more competitive. And at the end of the day, competition equals progress. So if they are more competitive than they were last year and they're losing games by a field goal or a couple points here and there, or, I think 7 or less points, like if they're keeping games relatively close and they're competitive, I think everyone's going to be here next year. So that's what I want to see from this football team. Hopefully that will be it. Let's talk about Abdul Carter because he signed his rookie deal. So his contract is 4 years, fully guaranteed. According to his 3 agents, he signed the contract, good to go. In order to free up the money to do that, the Giants had to restructure Brian Birds' contract. So Jackson Dart has not signed yet. I believe that they will be doing the same thing with Andrew Thomas and Dexter Lawrence, that they will be restructuring those deals, maybe a couple others. June 1st cuts are coming. So those things are all going to happen in order for them to free up some money to sign Jackson Dart and to bring in anyone else this summer that they would like to bring in. So not a big deal. They do stuff like that every year, but I expect that Andrew Thomas and Dexter Lawrence will be the 2 that they are most likely to rearrange to get that money. So we'll see about that. Jackson Dart spoke in some interview and he was asked if he offered money or did anything to try to get number 2, which is the number that he wore in college that now Tay Banks is wearing. And he said he did offer some sort of money, and I think he said he got outbid or got outpriced or something. So I'm very curious to see how much he offered. And I'm also like, Tay Banks, bro. You're a cornerback. Why are you wearing number 2? Single digits are not for corners. And I know it's just numbers. It's not a big deal. But I'm just like old school in the sense that, like, I wouldn't want to see my quarterback wearing 99. Okay? It doesn't make any sense. So I just think they need to go back to set numbers for set positions. But I think Jackson Dart is probably going to end up wearing 6. He made a joke during mini camp when he was asked by the media about it that he's going to see how it looks in photos and then decide. But he obviously tried to get 2, is not having any luck. So I think that he'll end up sticking there. I also think the same thing for Scadaboo and Darius Alexander at the least. I think those guys are definitely keeping their numbers. Scadaboo said that he hasn't proved anything yet, and he wore 4 in college. He knows he has a lot to prove, but he loves the history of the number. He loves the fact that Bradshaw wore it and the type of runner and running style and running back that he was, both very tough. I think 44 is perfect for Scadaboo. And I also love 91 for Darius Alexander. Justin Tuck's number, of course, which is not retired. And he said that he also knows the history of the number, wants to create his own legacy, the whole thing. So I think those numbers are great. I think they're going to end up sticking with them. We do know Abdul Carter is good to go. He's sticking with 51. The NFL even announced it. So you are safe to pre-order his jersey. I think on NFL.com or Fanatics, it said like once the number is confirmed by the NFL, it'll take 2 to 4 weeks for jerseys to start shipping. So if you're getting an Abdul Carter jersey, you are safe to do so. And the other ones I think should be confirmed relatively soon, because I just don't see any of them trying to get a retired number or anything like that. Like I think they're pretty set, knowing especially that they can always change the number in the future if they need or want to, which just pick a number and stick with it. It's not that big of a deal. Says the person who's like, Tay Banks, stop wearing single numbers. I know. But I don't make the rules, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Anyway, okay, what else did I want to talk about? Oh, I want to talk about this because if you guys will notice, Lawrence Taylor has been in the building, Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, a lot of the alumni are back in the building, talking to players, joining meetings, things like that. I heard that there was some turmoil with alumni players and the Giants last year. Now, we saw this when Michael Strahan came out during Super Bowl and was waving the Eagles flag, saying that he was taking shots at management. And Amani Toomer stuck up for him and said the same thing. And here's my thing about it is I just think that if you are the Giants organization and you are as embarrassing as you have been for the last couple of years, and I don't care that when Dave Gettleman was here, the team sucked and that was bad, and that's not Joe Shane's problem. It is John Mara's problem. And when you have guys like Michael Strahan, who says that he's taking shots at management by rooting for our fucking division rival during the Super Bowl, you have a problem, a very severe problem. When those guys who have done nothing wrong to the organization prior to this little fiasco feel like they are not welcome or whatever it is, they weren't, I'm going to say not welcome because I don't have confirmation of the specific examples that happened of why they didn't feel welcome or comfortable or whatever. I'm sure I can figure it out, though. It's not that hard. Brian Daboll thinks that it's his way or the highway, and he's a know-it-all. We have seen this. So it's not surprising to me that maybe he wasn't allowing guys in the building to give their 2 cents or involved in meetings or things like that. Now, that is a huge problem to me. And I think this is where John Mara should have not overstepped, or should have gotten involved and said, listen to me, sir. Your job is hanging on by a goddamn thread. You are lucky that I kept your ass in this building. Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan, Carl Banks, Harry Carson, these guys who won Super Bowls, we used to be good and we used to win Super Bowls. And Lawrence Taylor is the best defensive player in the history of the NFL, which is over 100 years now. You're allowed to come in the building. They're allowed to come in and say whatever they want and do whatever they want. And they're allowed to come into meetings and they're allowed to chime in and they're allowed to help these players out because we are an embarrassment of a football team. We have been for 9 out of 10 years at this point. So I understand that I fucked up when I kept Dave Gettleman and we hired Joe Judge and we did all of these things. But you're hanging on by a thread here, sir. You went 3-14 last year. And when Lawrence Taylor says that at his age, at 60-something years old, he knows that the 86 team, if they played last year at 60 years old, they would have won football games and played a hell of a lot better. You have a goddamn problem. You have a huge fucking problem. So I think John Mara should have gotten involved and said, listen, you're the coach and you can run the team, but I'm the owner and we're embarrassing, which means you are also embarrassing, which means that we need help to make this team better because every week they came out unprepared. Every week they came out undisciplined. They did embarrassing displays of football across the board. So you're to blame for that as the coach. And John Mara is also to blame for that. But I just think that the fact that alumni felt like they weren't welcome or whatever it is absurd, absolutely absurd, unacceptable behavior. And I'm glad that it sounds like it's fixed because, like I said, Strahan, LT, I'm sure you guys have seen the videos. They're all over social media that they are welcome in the building and they are involved in the process and whatever. And I have said this before. I think Lawrence Taylor should be mentoring Abdul Carter extensively from a football perspective. Do not take any life advice or any advice outside of football from Lawrence Taylor, okay? But he's a hell of a good football player and obviously the best to ever do it. So I love that Abdul Carter and Lawrence Taylor, I think, are going to have a great relationship. I hope that he helps mentor him. I hope the same thing for other players. I think Phil Simms, get in the building. Eli Manning, help out Jackson Dart. Every position group, Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan, bring in Ahmad Bradshaw, bring in Plaxico. I don't care. Bring in players that have extensive football knowledge, who have been on this team where they went through adversity and they came out on the other side and they won football games and they won Super Bowls and they were a team and an organization that us fans were proud of. That's what I want to see again. Okay. And if that means letting them all in the building and letting them in the meetings and letting Lawrence Taylor say whatever he wants to say and letting these guys get involved, then so be it. I just don't understand why that would ever be a problem to begin with. And I do think that I think a part of it is because Brian Daboll thinks that, he was coach of the year and whatever, got on his high horse. And I hope that he has been humbled and that he understands that he needs to get his shit together and figure it out as a head coach. And they better start winning football games. They don't give a shit how hard the schedule is. You're in year 4, buddy. Figure it the fuck out. Get people get Parcells in the building. He knew how to figure it out. So, just do what you have to do. Okay. Bring Tom Coughlin back. I literally don't give a shit. But every single person needs a mentor and they need help from people who did it right. So that's my 2 cents on that. Anyway, I'm glad that they're all back. And, we always see a lot of these players come in during training camp and they do signings and they break down the meetings and the practices and things like that. So I just want that to continue. I think it's really important, especially knowing that this Giants football team is as young as it is. So I want to continue to see that from them. And I do think that hopefully in the long run, it will help. Maybe in the short term, it will help them play better football. That's all I can hope for. So I think that's all I got for you guys today. We already talked about the schedule release. Oh, one last thing, Hard Knocks. I knew there was something else. And then we'll cut it off here. The Giants are back on Hard Knocks, which I know everyone is just so thrilled about because we needed to see the Giants in back-to-back seasons of Hard Knocks. Why does the NFL hate us so much? I really just don't understand. I'm sure they did it because the Eagles won the Super Bowl, whatever. Just give the Eagles this season. Why? Also, you pay off the refs and you let the Chiefs win games that they had no business winning. Show the fucking Chiefs. Okay? Do another division. Why did you have to do the NFC East? Listen, I love Hard Knocks. I love the behind the scenes. I'm glad that it's not just focusing on the Giants this year, but the NFC East is a very hard division. We have the hardest fucking schedule in the NFL. And we have to be on Hard Knocks this year. I'm really disappointed. I'm disappointed in the NFL that they did this to us as fans. And I just hope that it means that the Giants are going to win more football games this year. I hope that we're going to see good things on Hard Knocks, like the Giants being prepared coming out of meetings, like them playing hard, good football games and actually winning. That's what I want to see come out of Hard Knocks. I don't know what we're going to see. I actually have not seen the in-season Hard Knocks, especially last year when they did the AFC North. So I'm going to re-up my subscription to HBO so I can watch it and then have a better idea of what I think it's going to look like for the NFC East and what I think we're going to see from the Giants. So if you guys watched the AFC North in season last year, let me know what you thought and let me know if you seem to have any predictions or anything for what you think we'll see from the Giants. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'm going to watch it. I love Hard Knocks. I think it's great. And just hope that this year is better. So that's where we're at for now. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, share with a friend. If you're watching this on YouTube, comments your favorite part of the episode or who you want to see on the show next. And I will be back either this week or next week. I might go back to once a week just until training camp starts. Unless I have some guests. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for listening. I'll be back soon.